Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to learn how to make this beautiful granny stitch maxi skirt. It has a fringe at the base and it's a Pinterest inspired piece. So today we're going to use multiple colors, as you can see in this image, and you can get your scrap yarn. This is a project that's perfect for scrap yarn, and we are going to mix colors randomly if you wish, or you can follow the same exact color scheme as I have on this screen. So for the materials, you'll need yarn. I'll be switching between a DK weight yarn and a double strand of fingering weight yarn. So some colors you'll see me using a double strand, and then for some colors I used one strand of DK weight so that I can get something that's almost the same thickness. So you'll need yarn, several colors, and then you'll also need a 4mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, darning needle to weave in your ends, and a measuring tape. The measurement that we are going to be considering for this tutorial is the waistline measurement. So take your waistline measurement and let's get started. For me, my sample piece, the waistline measurement is 28 inches. In this image, it is paired with the Zoe crochet top that is a textured bralette. We already have a tutorial as well as a written pattern for it, and the written pattern for the skirt is also available on all my online shops. So if you would like that, please check the link in the description box below, and let's get started. So take your waistline measurement and grab your 4mm crochet hook. We are going to start off with our very first color, and this is the color that we are going to start off with. 2 strands of light fingering weight yarn. So you're going to start off with a slip knot, and we're going to make a chain that can wrap around our waistline comfortably without stretching. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and keep chaining until you get a chain that's the length of your waistline circumference without stretching. Guys, I've made a total of 120 chains, and you should be having a multiple of 3. Your starting chain should be a multiple of 3. And this gave me my intended waistline measurement. So as you can see, my intended waistline measurement is 28 inches. And that gave me that measurement. But when I fully stretch, it can even go up to 34 inches. But I'm considering the waist measurement without stretching. So you can see it's almost there. But with the stretch, it goes way beyond that. So you're going to make sure that your foundation chain is not twisted. And you're going to slip stitch into the very first chain. Insert your hook and pull through all. Just like that. So you're going to create this circular loop. Now from here, we're going to go on to round 1. For round 1, you're going to make a chain of 3, which counts as our very first double crochet. And you're going to go into the same exact chain with 1 double crochet. So that counts as 2 double crochets into 1 chain. And then you're going to make a chain of 1, skip over 2 chains, 1, 2, and into the next chain, you're going to place 2 double crochets. Chain 1, skip 2 chains, 2 double crochets into the next chain, and that's the repeat for this round. You're going to go all the way around, repeating this. Chain 1, skip 2 chains, and 2 double crochets into the next chain. So repeat this all the way around, and I'll meet you back towards the beginning of our round, and I show you how to wind up. So we're almost coming to the end of the round, and I'm still chaining 1, skipping 2 chains, and into the next chain, 2 double crochets. and then you should be left with 2 chains on your row. You're going to skip over them and make a chain of 1 and slip stitch into the top of the very first double crochet, or the chain 3 at the beginning of the round. So just slip stitch on top of the chain 3, and that marks the end of round 1. You should be having something that looks like this. Now remember, we have considered our waistline measurement. Now we're going to start making increases on the sides of the skirt until we get our hip circumference, because this skirt is supposed to fit well around the waist as well as fit into the hips. The hip circumference is usually wider than the waistline circumference. So you're going to just place your work like this. Make sure that this starting point is in the middle, and you're going to just eyeball and locate chain 1 spaces on the sides of the skirt. So just like that, and then place another one on the opposite side. Just make sure they are balanced. Something like this. So after doing this and placing these stitch markers, we're now going to go on to the next step. We're going on to round 2. You're going to make a chain of 3, which counts as our very first double crochet. Turn your work and then place 1 more double crochet into the same chain 1 space. So this counts as 2 double crochets into this space, and then chain 1, 2 double crochets into the next chain 1 space, chain 1, 2 double crochets into the next chain 1 space, and you're going to repeat that until we get to the first stitch marker, which is this one. All right, when you get to the chain 1 space that has the very first stitch marker, which is this one, you're going to remove the stitch marker, and then into that space that had the stitch marker, you're going to make a chain of 1, and you're going to make an increase. So you're going to place 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 more double crochets into the same exact space. So this is an increase at this point. From here, you're going to make a chain of 1 and 2 double crochets into the next chain 1 space, chain 1, 2 double crochets into the next chain 1 space, and you're going to repeat this until we get to our next stitch marker, which is this one. And we're supposed to create an increase just like we've done here. So if you feel like you may miss this point, make sure you place your stitch marker back into the chain 1 space of the increase. Just place it back so that you don't lose track of this point, because we are going to increase at this point all the time until we get our hip circumference. So chain 1, 2 double crochets into the next chain 1 space. Repeat that until we get to the next stitch marker. Right, so we've reached the next stitch marker. You're going to remove it, and into that space we're going to create an increase. So you're going to make a chain of 1, and into the space that had the stitch marker you're going to place 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 more double crochets, and then you're going to place your stitch marker back into the chain 2 space of the increase stitch. From here you're going to just continue to make a chain of 1, 2 double crochets into the next chain 1 space, chain 1, 2 double crochets into the next chain 1 space, and repeat that all the way to the end of the round. We've come to the end of the round, and we've placed 2 double crochets into the very last chain 1 space of the round. You're going to make a chain of 1 and slip stitch into the top of the first, chain 3 of the round, just slip stitch there. Now we're going to repeat round 2 again and again. Let's see what we have so far. My intended hip circumference is 40 inches, and what we have here is about 15 inches. I don't want to fully stretch my work because I don't want very stretched out stitches, so I have about 15 inches, and I have to get to 20 inches eventually because we are considering this side and the opposite side to make a total of 40. So when you place your work like this and you measure it, you should be having half your hip circumference measurement when slightly stretched. So you can see I have 15 and my intended hip circumference is 40 inches. So 40 divided by 2 is 20. So my goal is to get to 20 inches. So I still have 5 more inches to go before I stop increasing. So I'm going to go ahead and keep repeating round 2 until I get my intended hip circumference. And when I get to a point when I'm going to change the colors, I'll come back and let you I teach you how to do that. Now remember, we are just making a chain of 3, which counts as a double crochet. Turn your work and double crochet into the same exact chain 1 space. That's how we begin our round. Chain 1, 2 double crochets into the next chain 1 space, and repeat that all the way across until you get to the increase stitch. When you get to this space, you create an increase into this space just like we've done here, and then go back to the original pattern until you get to the next increase, where you will create an increase as well, and then go back to the original pattern until the end of the round. Chain 3, turn your work, and keep working around again and again until you get your intended hip circumference. Guys, as you keep working your round 2, you should notice that your skirt is taking shape and it's creating room for the hip circumference. And I am currently on row 8 and I'm winding up round 8, sorry, not row 8, round 8, and I'm chaining 1 and slip stitching into the top of the first, chain 3 of the round. So I'm going to demonstrate how to switch colors. Once you get done with one color, you're going to make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn, pull through. So that is the end of this color. I'm going to attach my next color, and the fact that I'm working in the opposite direction of the previous round, I'm going to make sure I turn my work, and I'm going to introduce my next color, which is army green. All right, so introduce your next color, and you're going to attach it. You're going to turn your work so that you're in the opposite direction of the previous round, and attach it right after this tail. So in that chain 1 space, you're going to attach your yarn and then make a chain of 2, which counts as our very first double crochet. I'm making a chain of 2 because this attaching chain counts as one of the chains. So basically we have a chain of 3. So after this, you're going to go into the same space with 1 double crochet, and then you're going to go ahead and chain 1, 2 double crochets into the next chain 1 space, chain 1, 2 double crochets into the next chain 1 space, and you're going to go back to the original pattern that increases on the sides if you haven't yet achieved your hip circumference. But for me, I have finished the increases. As you can see, we are running from 0 to 17, but when stretched, it can get to 20 inches. When slightly stretched, you don't want to overstretch your work so that the stitches even lose shape. So I did a total of 8 rounds in order to get my 20 inches across, 20 times 2, because these are 2 layers. We are getting our 40 inches, which is our intended hip circumference. And from there, you're going to now make a round of no increase. So the fact that I have finished my increase rounds, this is my very first round of no increase. You're going to continue to make 2 double crochets in the next chain 1 space, chain 1, 2 double crochets until you get to the increase point. and I'll show you what to do from there. All right, so when you get to the very first increase, we are no longer going to increase in this space. So instead, you're going to make a chain of 1, and instead of creating an increase here, just like we've been doing before, you're going to only place 2 double crochets, just like we are doing for these other spaces. And then you're going to make a chain of 1 and go into the next chain 1 space with 2 double crochets. So this time we haven't increased at this spot, and this is what's going to happen from now onwards, because you're no longer going to increase. So chain 1, 2 double crochets into the next chain 1 space. You're going to repeat that all the way across until you get to the next increase, where you will only place 2 double crochets in this space as well, just like we've done on this side, and then wind up your round until the end of the round, and I'll meet you back at the end of this round. So we've come to the end of the round, and I'm placing my last 2 double crochets into the last chain 1 space. From here, I'm going to make a chain of 1 and slip stitch on top of the very first chain 3 of the round. And it's time for me to switch colors. You're going to switch colors the way you wish. At any point you can switch colors. So for me, I'm going to go onto my white color, and just like I did for the green color, you're going to just turn your work onto the opposite direction of the previous round, and then attach your yarn into the chain 1 space after the tail that you've left behind on the previous color. Attach your yarn here, chain 2, and then 1 more double crochet into the space, and then you're going to make a chain of 1, 2 double crochets into the next chain 1 space, and this is the repeat round. You're going to just chain 1, 2 double crochets into the next chain 1 space all the way around, since we are no longer increasing. And then when it comes to the end, you just make a chain of 1 and slip stitch into the top of the first chain 3 of the round. And you're going to keep repeating and play around with your scrap yarn in order to get very beautiful effects. This is a very perfect project for scrap yarn or any yarn that has been lying around and you're just wondering what to use it for. But pick your colors wisely. So I'm going to go ahead and keep working this round, and I'll let you know how many rounds that I'll have done for my skirt at the end of my project. And yeah, later on we shall learn how to wind up and attach a waistband or finalize the waist area of the skirt in order to create a perfect fitting for it. So keep working this until you get your desired skirt length. So you should see a bulge somewhere around the side of the skirt where we were placing increases before, but don't worry about that, it will correct itself later on. So this is what we have right now. So keep working and keep pushing the length of your skirt until you get your desired length. Alright guys, we ended up doing a total of 80 rounds all together, and this is what our skirt looks like. You'll see it later on when we are done with everything. So once you get the length of the skirt that you want, I did mine up to the feet, and right now I've cut some strings for the fringe and they're about 8 inches. So I'm going to get two strands, and I'm going to attach in each chain one space at the base of the skirt. So go all the way around, attaching this, and then we shall see the effect that's created. If we need to add some more fringes at the base, I'll let you know what to do after this. Alright guys, I think the fringe is too spaced, so I'll also add 2 strands in between the double crochet stitches. So you go into each chain one space and in between the double crochet stitches so that we can close up that gap. In between the 2 double crochets, and you also attach a fringe. So you can see how closely placed they are now. I think I prefer this look to the previous one. So you're going to go around the base of the skirt, doing this until you come back to the beginning, all the way around. Alright guys, after your fringe, you're going to go onto the top of the skirt and you're going to make a normal chain of around 200 chains, and you're going to get your darning needle. Now we're going to place this drawstring. This is going to act as a drawstring so that we can adjust the waist to either tight or loose depending on what fitting that you're going for. So locate the back of the skirt. The back of the skirt is the one with the seam line at the back, or the one that has the loose ends. So you're going to turn your work onto the front part and locate the exact middle of the skirt, and then you go in and out of every chain 2 space, just like this. In and out of every chain 2 space. So do that all the way around and come back to the middle of the skirt. All right, we are back to the middle front of the skirt, and from here you're going to just make a knot, just like this, and you're going to go ahead and cut off the excess yarn of your drawstring, and that's basically it. This is what our skirt looks like. And let's see the final photo of the skirt.